All right, for our project, we're going to start out with our regular document size we've been using, 8 by 10 inches at 150 ppi, or pixels per inch. You need to include a value scale with a minimum of 9 different values, 4 tints, a pure hue, and 4 shades. We're going to make a realistic 3D sphere using color and a paintbrush tool. You're going to use a range of values to create that three-dimensional form. Remember from our elements of art, in order to see three-dimensional form, you have to have value. You're going to show smooth blending of values with the paintbrush tool and things like opacity changes. You're going to include an arrow for the light source. You're going to title this Your Last Name - Sphere and later save it as a JPEG to turn into the Google Classroom. All right, I've got 2 videos for you already here. 1, how to create the value scale, and 2, how to paint the sphere. We're going to go ahead and go over this together. So let's go ahead and open up Photoshop. All right, you're going to create a new document. Let's call it Your Last Name - Sphere. Remember that spaces in titles leave room for files to get corrupted. That's why I always put a dash in there, no spaces. For the width, let's put 10 inches. Double check it says inches. For the height, let's put 8. For the resolution, let's type 150 pixels/inch, pixels per inch. Let's keep it on RGB mode, 8-bit, and background contents white. And by the way, I've got my orientation on landscape, the wide one. And click Create. Okay, if you'd like to reset your workspace to make sure all of your palettes are there, let's do that. Window, Workspace, Reset Essentials. Let's make sure you're following along with demonstration. You're getting a grade for following along. Window, Workspace, Reset Essentials. All right, so you've got your Layers palette and your Tool palette. Let's grab that Tool palette, and at the upper left-hand corner, let's click that double arrow to put your Tool palette in 2 columns. That makes it easier for me to tell you where your tools are. All right, to begin, we're going to make a new layer and start a value scale. You can go to Layer, New Layer, and let's call this Value Scale. And click OK. Please make sure you're following along with demonstration. If you're not following along with demonstration, you're setting yourself up for failure. All right, we have a new layer in the Layers palette called Value Scale. From here, we're going to start your value scale. Okay, let's go, and first off, choose a color in your color palette. What color do you want your sphere to be? All right, mine's going to be sort of a blue-green. All right, now take a look at your color palette where I'm circling. Let's get to know your color palette. Here in the upper right-hand corner is the pure value. So if you click and leave your dot right there, that cursor in the upper right-hand corner, that's your pure value. If you move down, those are your shades. And I'm moving down and on the right-hand side. So moving down on the right-hand side, these are your shades. If you move from the right corner to the left, those are your tints. Right corner to the left, tints. So hue plus white are the tints, hue plus black are the shades. Now, look in your tool palette, that first square, that's your foreground fill color. It will change every time you click inside your color picker or your color palette. So what I want you to do is start out in that upper right-hand corner. Click in that upper right-hand corner. That's your pure value. That's your pure shade. Now, let's go get, not shade, but pure hue. Let's go get your brush tool. 5 tools down on the left is the brush tool. Make sure you're in the regular brush tool, not the mixer brush, not the history, just the brush tool. Make sure it says brush tool. Now look at your sub menu. Your sub menu has now changed to reflect your brush. I'm going to circle right here, the one that's got a little number on it. That's the brush menu. Click the drop down arrow, and these are your brushes. We're going to take a look at general brushes. Click the little drop down arrow to drop down your general brushes. All right, now you can choose any of these brushes to do your value scale. I'm just going to click the hard round. All right, if you want to have a texture or something, you could click one of the charcoal brushes, but I'm just going to click the hard round. That is completely fine to do that. If you want to see the names of your brushes like I can see the names, go to this wheel on the right-hand corner and click on brush name. All right, let's reduce your brush size down. Now, I want it to be a fairly big circle. I'm simply going to stamp to make my color. I'm going to go and make my brush it's about 90 pixels. Now, our value scale is going to be on the left-hand side, and the pure value is going to be right in the center. So I'm going to hover my brush right there in the center and click to just make a dot for my pure hue. All right, now I'm going to pull my color palette away so that you can see what I'm doing. All right, so that was my pure hue in the right-hand corner that I just stamped. All right, now here's a nice thing to do. Instead of relying just on the color palette, let's double click right here on the foreground fill color in your tool palette. Double click on it to bring up the actual color picker. Now what I want you to see in the color picker is this box right here where it says new and current. All right, so my current color is this. I am going to pick lighter tints to make my value scale. So I'm going to slowly move to the left, and I'm just going to click a little bit here to the left, and I'm going to compare my values, the current versus the new. I want a subtle change that is getting lighter, that is using a tint. All right, a subtle change. So compare them, the pure to the tint. When you see a nice kind of subtle, gradual change, click OK. Go back to the brush tool, hover above your pure hue, and just click to stamp a tint. We're going to keep doing that. Go back to the foreground fill color in the tool palette, double click. Move a little bit to the left. I'm kind of jumping. See that? I'm starting here and I'm kind of jumping here. I want it to get lighter. Compare the current color or value with the new one. Is it getting a little bit lighter? Click OK. Go back to your value scale and stamp. Do it again. Double click on The foreground fill swatch, move to the left to get another tint. Compare your values, the current and the new. Is it a gradual shift, getting lighter? Click OK and stamp. Our goal here is to get to white. Go back, double click, bring up the color picker, click on another tint closer to the left-hand corner, compare your current with your new value. And one last time, I'll just do it all the way to the corner. You'll see it's almost white. All right, so you should have your pure value that we stamped. It was in the right-hand upper corner, and you moved to the left to create a scale of tints, your color plus white. Next, I'm going to make some shades. We are going to start with your pure hue, and we're going to move down in the color picker to get shades, darker values of your hue. Now, take a look. I'm going to go get my eyedropper tool. It's 4 tools down on the left. The eyedropper tool lets me sample color in my color palette or my document. So I'm going to get that eyedropper, and I'm going to click on my pure hue. See that? See how it shows that circle around it with the color? It's saying I sampled that color. Now that color is here in your foreground swatch. And notice my dot is back in the upper right-hand corner in the color palette. So the eyedropper samples the color in the document. All right, so get that eyedropper and sample or click on your pure hue. Now go back to that color picker, double click on your foreground fill swatch. And now we're going to move down. We're going to get shades. So I'm going to jump down a little bit and click. Now compare the current and the new. Is it a gradual change or is it too much? This looks like too much. So I'm going to go back up a little bit. All right, that's a little better. Compare your current and your new. Click OK. Get your brush tool again. Click to stamp. Do it again. Go back to the tool palette, double click on the foreground fill swatch, move down a little bit. Now I'm not dragging my mouse, I'm clicking. I don't drag my mouse on here, I simply click on the spot I want to go to. Now compare your current and your new. Is it a gradual shift? Is it getting a little darker? Go back to your paintbrush and stamp. Do it again. Go back and double click on the foreground fill swatch, or just click once. Move down a little bit, click, compare the current and the new. Is it getting gradually darker? Do it again. Go back to the fill swatch, bring up your color picker, move down a little bit, click, compare the current and the new. All right, we're moving towards black. All right, black is all the way in the lower right-hand corner. All right, make sure you show that range of values from almost white to the pure hue down to black. Once you have your tints, your pure hue, and your shades, it's time to label them. I'm going to go get my type tool. It's the big T. That's your type tool, the big T. If you hold down on the big T, you'll see there's several type tools. We want the top one, horizontal type tool. Now I am not going to draw a text box. I am simply going to click and release to set my cursor. I'm going to click next to my pure hue, and you'll see that your submenu changes for the type tool. You can choose a font, and you can choose a point size. And yes, it's going to say this lorem ipsum. That's the default Latin term. All right, I'm going to type in pure hue. Now, notice on my submenu, I was on center justify. I can click right here and go to left align or right align. I want left align. The other thing you can do is now get your move tool, top tool on the left, your move tool, and you can move your text. All right, so I'm going to put that right next to the pure hue. Notice in your layers palette, Photoshop made you a brand new layer. It's going to have the text you just typed, and it's going to have a big T telling you that this is a type layer. Now go ahead and click the move tool to get out of that layer. You want to click the move tool to get out of that layer. Now go back to the type tool. I want you to hover near your tints, click and release your cursor, and type tints. Get the move tool and maybe, move it, line it up maybe. See my pink lines? Those are called smart guides. Photoshop is telling me, oh, you've lined this up. Good job. All right, use those smart guides. See how it lines it up for you. Go back to the type tool, hover near your shades, click and release, type in shades. Get that move tool, move that around, maybe line it up with your smart guides.